In this video we are going to see part 9, where we are going to learn how to configure the intermediate events. It says before configuring an intermediate message event, we have to take into account that it can be reactivated a lot of times, although it's not activated again by the current flow of the process. That is to say, we have the possibility of selecting the automatic reactivation option or not. Let's see how it works without automatic reactivation. The current flow arrives, is active and ready. Data can be introduced. Let's imagine now that the inspector arrives and introduces the ABC regulation review. Then some data is introduced in the EM, the current leaves and is disabled. As you can see, when the current flow has reached it, we can act on it, but only once. Let's see how it works if the activation is automatic. Is active and ready, data can be introduced. Now the inspector arrives and introduces data and the current leaves. The EM is still active, so more data can be introduced, and then the current flow activated again. Let's see how to configure the EM in a class of processes. For that, we will go to the application, and we will go to structure, processes, demo events. First of all, I need to change something back that we changed before, and I'm going to change from responsive form to the dynamic one. Okay. And now let's go and configure the EM. Here we have in the identity section, we have options we saw before. Okay, is the same as when we configure the IM. Okay, so languages, we can change it. We can add here description for the diagram, one for the documentation. So it's pretty simple, this part. Activated by, okay, we have form. Okay, here we can choose to have a form. And here we can choose conditions as well. We have this option. The condition options is very useful if after creating a process, okay, we want to go to act in the process, okay, and it might be that we have a lot of processes of that class running, okay, so to prevent all the IMs of all the processes appearing, we could create conditions, okay. I could configure it so only the IMs of the processes started by me appear, for example, or by someone else, etc. Okay, here we have the web service as is the same as the one before. Okay, it will work the same way as in the IM. We also have the access the URL. Okay, from here we can go directly with it. We have the calendar view. Okay, we saw this before as well, and this, which allows me to just drag and change the date, etc. Okay, let's configure now the form. So let's create a new one. Going a dynamic one, and we are going to call it manual interaction. In style, I'm going to choose bootstrap and save. Okay, first thing I have to do is obviously to add a division. Okay, and now I can add the elements here. First I'm going to add a complement, and I'm going to call it manual interaction as well. And here I'm going to add documents, save, and save and exit. We can actually change the style and save and exit. Now I want to add a library type of field. Choose this one. Accept selection. We have it here. I'm going to change the title position to the left. so I can see all the documents I add, okay? And I'm going to create a document viewer. I need to select the division as always, and I'm going to call it library viewer. Okay, and I'm going to leave this as it is now. This is the viewer, and it will only be shown in execution. Okay, I'm going to change the title position, and I'm going to change it to the top. Okay, so I can make this bigger. And before leaving, okay, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. And save. Save and exit. And before leaving this event, okay, we have here reactivation. So I'm going to select automatic reactivation. With no automatic reactivation, we could start the process and the current flow will reach the EM, okay, and once this happens, it won't be able to activate it again, okay? If we choose automatic reactivation, it means we can go here, and while we have this one on, okay, well, the 7 minutes, okay, we can keep adding documents till the 7 minutes are over, okay? So while the process is running, okay, here will be 7 minutes, the current will stop here 7 minutes, and then we'll finish. So we have all this time. During this time, we can keep adding as many documents as we want, okay? That wouldn't be possible without the reactivation. And with this, we have finished configuring the EM. So let's save. Okay, so we can move on now to configure the intermediate time event. So an intermediate event can be configured so the current flow lives at different times. For example, the 15th of January, the 20th of January, and the 30th as well. These don't have automatic reactivation. How do we relate to the process? In settings, we indicate that the current flow must live during these 3 days. Therefore, when the current flow arrives, it will wait until the 15th, the 20th, or the 30th to activate the current flow again. When the first time is reached, the current flow will leave and the event will be disabled. Later times are not evaluated, but it is possible to create a loop or several intermediate events to cover other scenarios. Okay, time events take into account the process calendar. If there is no calendar set, then they take into account the default one. Let's see now how to configure them and all the different possibilities. So let's configure the ET now, okay? Here we can see several options, and among them we can see the chronometrics options. Here we can select if we want the process to consider the class of processes, calendar, or other. If we choose the first option, it means we will use the calendar we selected when we first started creating the process. This is the calendar all the different objects of the process are going to have unless we change it in them. If we go here and we select Control by Date option, we have plenty of possibilities. So if I click here, we can see all the possibilities, okay? For example, I don't know, we can configure it so it considers a date field in the panel, for example, so that we will choose panel and then we will choose, you know, a date type of field that we have in the panel. In this case, we only have these two, so we could choose one of them. Okay, if we chose modality instead, okay, here I have several options. I have whole date, only years, only months, only days of month, only weeks, weekdays, weekdays in month, or weekdays in week of year. I'm going to just choose whole date and go here. Here is where we configure everything, okay? So we can choose specific days of the month, yeah, the months. So you could choose 1st of January or 2nd of February or 1st, 20th of April, okay? We have this option as well, which is year. We can choose year of the process start, okay, or choose other. If we selected other, then we will have to add here the year, okay, the specific year. In control by hours, we can say no or yes. If we select yes, then we can go here where we can add different times and also a validity margin. So for example, I'm gonna just add 6:15. Okay, the validity margin is gonna be 10 minutes. Add, and then 3:30. And add. So I have a 10 minutes validity margin and I have 6:15 and 3:30. So if it arrives at 6:35, it will stop, okay, because it will be too late, and it will wait till it's 3:30, okay? And it will be activated not only till 3:30, but till 20 to 4, okay? Because we have a 10 minutes validity margin. Okay, once we have configured this, we could go here. If holiday, okay, substitute with, and then we can choose here either no substitution or following working day, date in panel, a specific one, or manual date, which we will just add, okay? But I'm gonna leave it like that. So let's go. Okay, we just selected, we just saw it as a whole date. So if we wanted to see another one, like for example, only years or only months, it would be really similar, okay? Only years. Okay, the important will be the year, and only months, obviously the months. In only days of the month, okay, we could choose the 1st, the 15th, the 30th, okay? This will be very useful for processes or tasks where some payments have to be made, okay? And we want that to happen in a particular day of the month. So for example, our company wants to be paid on the 1st, okay? So we will just set up that date. Only weeks, okay? Again, we will select the weeks we want. Days of the week, we could say the 1st day of the week, the 2nd day of the week, etc., okay? Depending on the calendar. Weekdays in a month. Again, that would be very similar, like Monday of a certain week, etc. When we select a value on the panel, instead, we can select these two options, okay? If we selected panel, as we saw before, we could select dynamic. It reads the date from the panel every minute. It is slower. Or unique. It reads the date from the panel only once. It's faster. Okay, now we have seen all the control by date options. Let's go and have a look at duration control options. So first of all, we need to choose a unit. Okay, here we have working days, but it could be natural days, working hours, natural minutes, working minutes. And then we have count from. Okay, this will be like from the flow arrives to the event, okay, itself, or other. You would choose the last option. I could choose between several possibilities, okay? The time you arrive at task, initiated a task, finish a task, arrive at the event, or finish an event, okay? Then we have the value option, okay, which we have panel or manual. If we choose days, we will see that another option appears. As you can see, if you choose days, yeah, this option is the one that appears, okay? It's an extra option. We have calendar days and 24-hour periods, okay? If I chosen 3 days and today is Monday, 3 o'clock, the current will be activated on Thursday at 3 o'clock, okay? It is slowest and it controls the time, not only the days. In the 24 hours periods, okay, the time is irrelevant, okay? That's what it ends up being quicker. we are seeing the intermediate time event, okay? If we had a start time event, the configuration of the control, duration control would be the same, okay? It would be really similar, but the duration control needs point to start from, so it's not a possibility in a start event, okay? In a start event, we can only use control by date. Okay, as we said, if we choose days, we have the extra option here, but I'm going to choose minutes. So natural minutes, we can see that this has gone now, this option. Rise to the task itself, and I'm going to add manual. I'm going to add 5. Sorry, 7. 7. Okay, so we have here this. Okay, so we have configured now the intermediate time event, so we can now have a look at spans. Okay, we have the 3 here created, okay, 1, 2, and 3. So we are now gonna configure like just that description and a few things. So let's go to the first one, this one, okay, and we can add a status. That would be here. Okay, and we can add a description. I'll try to copy it because it's quite long. I don't know if it's gonna let me. Okay. Save and save and exit. So we have the first one. Then the second is that the description. Save and exit. And finish one. We can have in the status like process finished. And then a description as well. And save and exit. We can also add an itinerary, okay, general one, so we can do that as well. And as you can see, it's really easy to configure the spans, okay, to just add some of the information. So with this, we have learned how to configure a start event, an intermediate message one, an intermediate time one, and also the spans, okay? So now I'm gonna go to the application, save and exit. So start the process. Tenth subject, manual interaction, and start process. If I go to acting process now, and I go to manual interaction, okay, I can see I have here the viewer, the library viewer I created before. So let's add 2 documents. Save and exit and save. Okay, and now we can see the documents in the viewer, okay? This is the viewer of the documents I have included in the library typo field. If I click on finish and then proceed, I can see that I have the current here again, okay? And that means, okay, that it's been reactivated. We will see how to monitor the process later on. But now it's your turn to do part 6.